Hey folks, Dan Gunther here. Well, here we are, second episode already of The Bad Batch. In this video, I'm talking about episode 2 of The Bad Batch, Cut and Run. So as I suspected at the end of episode 1, it turns out that the Bad Batch are off to meet the clone deserter Cut, who we saw previously in the Clone Wars series. This is a very logical decision, as this is a character who has previously broken away from the Republic and, as I said, is a deserter, and would seem to be the character that this group could learn from as far as how to get along after leaving the Empire. Ever since this character first showed up in the Clone Wars, I really thought that his story was really fascinating and what it meant to Rex, kind of teaching him independent thought and really showing that the clones can have differentiated personalities and not just be a stock cookie cutter soldier. I also love that this character kind of ends up teaching Hunter about what it means to be a parent. Omega, of course, is a very young person, and Hunter does make a few mistakes from time to time in how he deals with her, not knowing how to deal with a young person or a child. Speaking of Omega, I really liked her in this episode as well. The childlike wonder that she exhibits at something as simple to everyone else as dirt really came through here, and I really appreciate seeing the world through the eyes of this character who has never left Kamino. All of these experiences are brand new for her. She's very intelligent and very insightful, but at her heart still a child and still has much to learn. This episode, of course, continues to raise the question, what is Omega's origin? Why was she created by the Kaminoans? There's a key line here where Cut says that the Kaminoans always clone for a purpose. So why was Omega created? Some interesting bits of continuity in this episode as well. We see the introduction of chain codes, which is a plot point that comes into effect in The Mandalorian, basically an identification code for every person within the Galactic Empire. This, of course, creates a problem for Cut, who is a deserter, as well as for the members of Clone Force 99. I love that through the course of this episode, they're able to acquire chain codes, which will make their movements much more simple in future episodes. This episode also continues to build out the world that's been created with the creation of the Empire. We see restrictions placed upon citizens within the Empire and the new reality that everyone is facing going forward. I do note that there are some definite parallels between this show and The Mandalorian. In both shows, the main character becomes a sort of ward for a younger character who is possibly force sensitive, if not force sensitive, at least very powerful. The difference that I really appreciate here, however, is that while Grogu benefited from his relationship with the Mandalorian, he was never really given a choice and was kind of this helpless creature who relies entirely upon the Mandalorian to keep him safe. In this show, however, Omega has a choice and ends up making an active choice to stay with Hunter and the rest of Clone Force 99. And I see a lot of potential in this character going forward. I think there's some really interesting meat for storytelling here. I really hope this character gets fleshed out in kind of the same way that Ahsoka did at the beginning of the Clone Wars. I remember thinking that she was not my favorite character, but now years later, as she's made an appearance in different television shows and projects, and that character has really gotten fleshed out, I really love the character of Ahsoka, and I definitely see the potential there for Omega as well. One interesting thing to note in this episode is that we learn that they missed Rex by a very short period of time, as he also visited Cut and his family shortly after Order 66 was executed. This really does make me wonder if we are going to see Rex at some point in this series. I feel like that is something that is just logical to do, especially with him getting name dropped here. I really look forward to that meeting, as Rex would be one of the few clones in the galaxy who also escaped the effects of Order 66 because of the removal of his inhibitor chip. I was really happy to see that Cut also escaped that fate here, and I'm really happy to see him and his family thriving and able to get away at the end thanks to the help from Clone Force 99 in getting them chain codes. I really look forward to where this series goes from here. They're adapting to a changing galaxy, and it's not going to be easy. I think this time period, as I said in the last video, is a really fascinating one, and one that I'm happy to see more exploration of. So definite top marks for Cut and Run, episode 2 of The Bad Batch. What did all of you think? Please let me know in the comments your thoughts on this episode. I look forward to continuing to watch the series with all of you. Thank you, of course, to the Patreon supporters for all of their help in bringing these episode reviews to you, and hopefully there's a lot more to come in the rest of the season. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Until then, as always, may the Force be with you.